Hey guys, if you've watched some of my videos, I appreciate it. Enjoy putting them on. I enjoy interacting with people in the comments and all that sort of stuff. This little project's going to be a lot of fun as I get back on it. Kind of been snowbound. Even though I'm just in Middle Tennessee, it feels like I'm snowbound. Gets cold and I just can't get much motivation. It's kind of the same way it was when it was so flippin' hot last summer and I couldn't get much motivation. I'm going to try to get this dude going by this summer and kind of kicking it in with that in mind. I never really have talked about what I'm planning on doing with it. The whole reason for me buying it was so I could live in it for a couple of years, and I put a lot of thought into picking the right floor plan I wanted, even though the best possible one for the best possible price probably doesn't exist. So I kind of started with this little derelict, and I've grown pretty fond of it, even though it's a big project. It's a 78 23 footer with a side bath, GMC Birchhaven. Got my other videos that show little tours of it and all that sort of stuff. But I wanted to talk about why I'm doing this instead of a van or a Sprinter. Spoiler alert on the Sprinter, it's can't afford one. Never will be able to afford one. So even if I could afford one and it broke, I couldn't fix it. Where I feel pretty confident I can fix almost anything on this one. It being so old, it's kind of the technology I grew up with. When I was in high school, I took an auto mechanics course, and high energy ignition, electrical or electronic ignition, had just come out in the mainstream. My class was in 1976, so that kind of dates me. And I was in the parts business a long time and messed with old junk cars and quote unquote hot rods off and on all the time I grew up. And first car was like a 69 model, and yeah, haven't got much newer since. I'm driving a 94 Chevy van that you guys probably seen in some of the backgrounds. It's kind of a conversion van. I put 50,000 miles on that little dude, driven it back and forth to Oregon like 3 times, and had a lot of fun, got a lot of utility out of it. Love it. It's V6, gets lousy gas mileage just like if it was V8, but with the added benefit of not having any power to speak of. But I still managed to coax it over the hills and over the plains eventually. That was the first vehicle that I'd ever really camped out in much. I'd saved up some money a few years ago and took off on hit the road in the little van and I stayed gone about 6 weeks. Visited a lot of folks, went to Oregon, turned around and came back, but actually kind of spent a little bit of time other places instead of just rushing destination to destination, and I really enjoyed it. I'd stay over at friends' houses, and they would be like, "Oh, we got this bedroom here. We'll fix it up. We got it all fixed up for you." And I'd say, "Dude, I brought my bedroom." And they're like, "Oh, you don't want to sleep out in that old van?" And I'm like, "I've been sleeping in that old van for a month. I can manage it." A lot of them I'd have to walk them out to the van and throw the side door open and go like, "Look, man, there's like my twin size bed with a mattress pad, sleeping bag. I got a fan in here. I got a heater. I got, I got electricity. Like the only thing, could I plug into the house? They'd always have an outside outlet, so I'd be able to plug in, and man, I was in hog heaven. I could watch TV or whatever I wanted to in this little van, and it was pretty cool. So I really enjoyed that. I looked at how to improve on it and what I would like if I could, within reason, have some additional comforts. And a bathroom is pretty cool, although, you know, you can manage that. Cooking was really a neat deal, although I cooked plenty. I just would do it outside and had a little table that I folded out and cooked whatever I wanted to. Had a big Yeti ice chest and kept all my stuff on ice and cooled down. I'd throw a bag in it every couple of days and always had cold pop and that sort of stuff. But standing up was something that's like underrated. And I was in that little van, and there's no standing up in it. If you're going to get anywhere, you're hunkered down and duck walking back, or, you know, leaned over all the time. I could sit up in my bed and normal everything, you know, other than just standing up. And this RV, even though it's small, it's 23 feet, is it's got plenty of headroom in it. Stand up and walk front to back on the thing. There's no weird step up, step downs, or any of that stuff. And it's just a lot nicer. You can just stretch out and be a lot more comfortable in it just from the extra space that's in it. What I like about this one, it's got the bath on the side, so the whole back of the RV is a bedroom. And I'm going to have I've got it measured out. I thought a queen size bed or mattress would fit in there, and it won't really. It's about 5 inches too narrow. So I'm going to put a full size mattress, but they make a full XL that's longer. That's the same length as the queen size and bed. So that's going to be a lot nicer, because I really like to stretch out. And I'm in a full-size bed now, and that's the only thing that I really find kind of irritating about a full-size bed, is it's just a little bit short. I'm not tall, I'm just 5'10", but you can just stretch out and be a little more comfortable if you get that extra room in there. So looking forward to that. When I got this thing, the upholstery was just dust hanging on and in shreds, and every time you get around, get close to it, it would puff up like you disturbed a tomb somewhere. You know, it was horrible. That old fiberglass looking insulation from the 70s. And I've got a couple of Toyota Sienna middle seats that are leather-ish, whatever, that are really nice and recline. I think I can get them working and reclining and swiveling. If not, I can just get them bolted in. I mean, they'll fit. It's just how fancy can they be. If I get them to where they're swiveling, then I'll have an extra seat over in the passenger side. If somebody comes in, they could hop up there and have a seat if they wanted to, you know, eat dinner and it's nasty outside or what have you. So that would be handy. I think on a normal day-to-day living in the thing, it's going to be great. I've got this dinette type setup in it now, and I've still got the frames of the seats that I could sort of reupholster or pad, but I kind of think I'm just going to get rid of them and put me a desk in, just about a 2-foot wide desk, and just put pillows and maybe make a back out of some plywood. This one side over here, which is behind the passenger or behind the driver's side and looking forward, what I'm sitting on is the propane tank, the built-in propane tank. So that's not really something you can move. And then on the other side, where the other dinette set was, is a toolbox, which is very handy for bigger stuff. Like I can put my jack under there and assortment of tools and spare parts, which I've got to have. So that's a nice place for that. If I can keep that incorporated into the design, I'll be ahead. And all in all, the old coach is decent. I mean, it's 50 years old almost. It's a 78, so it's coming up on 50 years old. I'll refresh most of the major systems in it, and I think the engine and transmission are going to be fine. they're pretty commonly replaced. The cool thing about the 23 footer as opposed to the normal size, the 26 footers are a lot more common. They made about 90% of them were 26 foot. But the 23 foot one, you can actually come in the side door with a long cherry picker engine hoist and get the engine lifted up and get it out of the vehicle without putting a trolley type puller in here. So it should be a little easier to swap engines on it. Lord knows I don't want to swap engines. I want them to just last and forever, but it's good to know it's possible. And yeah, that's kind of going over my main thoughts on the choosing the 23 footer for my choice. It's also a lot more, from people I've talked to and people I've talked with on the forums, it's more nimble. It's easier to maneuver than the 26 footers, and it honestly looks like a big van compared to the 26s look like a small motorhome. The 26 footers, beside these monstrosities that you see on the road every day, they look like Volkswagens compared to some of those silly things. 35 foot coaches are pretty commonplace, and they're massive. They're flipping massive. All in all, I think I'm going to be happy with it. It's going to take a lot of work. I'll still have a lot of money in it comparatively compared to my income, but it should work out pretty well. And like I said, I'm hoping to be up and ready running, camping out locally in it by this summer, and slowly working it together and putting in a few parts at a time and getting it up to speed. I appreciate you watching the videos, and shoot me a line in the comments below what your thoughts are on it. If you got any suggestions on it, any questions. Just from sheer bullheadedness, I've learned quite a lot about the coaches over the last 3 or 4 years. Be happy to give you my opinion on stuff and talk with you about it. And I look forward to seeing your feedback on it, and I appreciate your input. Thanks for stopping by and checking on me, and I hope you'll hang with me as the time goes on and I get more done and it gets farther along and we hit some milestones, and it's going to be a fun trip. I wish I just had money to throw at it hand over fist, but I don't, so I'll have to be doing it myself and as time and money allows, but it should come together fairly quickly. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate it. Take her easy.